In this video, we discuss 10 ways to stretch a tiny retirement income. Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
Last week I had my first live stream, and I asked the participants to write in questions because I wanted to make sure that I had questions. It was my first one, and we got 300 of them, so it wasn't really a problem. But one was a pretty complicated question that I couldn't answer on the live stream. It was a heartfelt email that I got from somebody saying that they were really struggling. They said they were a good person, they thought that they had done all the right things in life, but life really hadn't been kind back, and they were struggling in retirement. Their expenses were 20% more than they could afford. I replied to this individual and I said, look, this isn't something we can answer on a 1-hour live stream, particularly one on Social Security, but let me film a video on this, and hopefully this will answer a lot of your questions. So this is that video. So let's get right into it. Strategy number 1, create a detailed budget. You can't manage what you can't measure. That is absolutely true. It doesn't matter if your intent is good. If you don't know what it is that you're spending your money on, it would be impossible to budget and spend less, consistently anyway. Look through your bank account and your credit card statements and look for those one-off items that probably aren't really one-off. And be honest with yourself about these. No one else is looking. Ask yourself, if I've spent money on this twice, is it really a one-off item? And then take it to step number 2, which is observe how you spend for the next 30 days. Now, I'm not talking about changing how you spend, just observe how you spend every single day, write it down. And at the end of the 30 days, then it's time to budget. Between looking at how you spent your money and observing how you do spend your money, you will reveal obvious money leaks. And without exception, I've never had someone come back to me and say, I couldn't find any money leaks. And the obvious one is many retirees discover that they're spending money on subscriptions that they never use. Or they spend money on subscriptions that they should use, but they don't. I'll give you a great example because I'm guilty of it. We have a subscription to a pest management service, and it's unlimited visits, and they come out and they spray for pests. We also have a lot of wasps around our property. But do you know how many times a year I call them asking them to treat the wasps? One time. And they're back a few weeks later, but I don't call them again. I don't know why. But understanding that I'm paying for the service, I'm either going to start using it or I'm going to cancel the service. Because if I should be using it but I'm not, that's as bad as having a subscription to something you don't really care about. But just know a budget isn't about restricting how you spend, it's getting the most from how you spend. Strategy number 2 is downsizing your house. Now, every time I put this in a video, I have mixed results in the comments. Now, to be super clear, I'm not talking about taking a already downsized home and reducing it to something that is unmanageably small. What I'm talking about is if you live in a home that's large, that you raised a family in, that has higher taxes, high maintenance, or high energy costs, that might be a good opportunity to reduce your costs simply by downsizing. Now, there's a big movement in this country right now. I don't know if you've been following it, but during the early 2020s, people were leaving places like New York and Boston and big cities and moving to other destinations like Florida, for example. They did this because they were working from home, they could live anywhere, and frankly, it was less expensive to live in a place like Florida than it would be to live in a place like San Francisco, New York, Boston, any major city or its surrounding suburbs. Well, that seems to be reversing, and people are moving from these traditional retirement destinations like Florida and Arizona back to the cities and the surrounding suburbs. So if you live in or around a big city, there's a good chance that your property value's gone up, and if you downsize, you can downsize for a really inexpensive price. But the obvious problem here is that people don't want to leave their family. But downsizing doesn't mean leaving the state. It could mean moving just to the next county over. You'd be surprised at the type of savings you can find just by moving one county over, or moving from a large house to a small house in the same county. The point is you have a lot of opportunity in front of you in the downsizing area. Number 3, optimizing healthcare costs. Healthcare is either the second or the third largest expense for most people in this country, depending on where you live and how much you use healthcare. But there are a lot of ways to reduce your healthcare costs. You've probably heard of some of them: getting generic drugs, buying your drugs over the internet through a reputable online pharmacy. Exercising so that your health is generally better, with a doctor's note, of course. Always question your medical bills. You'd be surprised at how many things end up on a medical bill that don't really belong there. From the time you leave the doctor's office to the time the bill arrives at the insurance company, that bill has changed hands at least 6 times on average. Consider a Medicare Advantage plan if it suits you. Medicare Advantage plans tend to cover more, but you have to do it in network, so to speak. It's a very specific set of doctors and hospitals you have to use, but because you're giving up the flexibility of going anywhere, you have the opportunity to have better coverage. And with regard to Medicare, we limit our partners on this channel to 3 well-researched companies that we would be proud to support into our viewer base. One of those partners is Chapter. Chapter is a Medicare advisor that has access to over 24,000 plans, saves their clients an average of $1,100 per year, and is really easy to work with. So if you have questions about Medicare or you just want a second opinion, give them a call at the number above, 440-703-1224. I'll also remind you at the end so that you don't have to stop the video. Strategy number 4 is to reduce food costs strategically. Now, I'm not talking about eating noodles every night, but I'm talking about consuming smartly. The average family of 2 in retirement wastes about $1,200 a year in food. Meal planning is one of the most effective ways to reduce food costs. Buy in bulk for non-perishable foods. Consider gardening if you like to garden and grow your own vegetables. Reduce the number of times you go to a restaurant if you don't do it socially. Social interaction is very important. And go out to pick up carry-out instead of having it delivered so that you don't have to pay the delivery fee and you get out of the house. Americans spend an average of $1,566 per year in food delivery. So if you want to eat well, but you want to beat the bank a little bit, do it smartly and you can have a really good outcome. Strategy number 5, maximizing your Social Security benefit. Now, this channel has over 350 videos. I would imagine that 200 plus of those are on Social Security and how to maximize the benefit. But there are so many different things that you can do to improve your Social Security outcome. So many, in fact, that I can't really get into them here on this video. The obvious one is to delay taking Social Security for a higher monthly payment, but there are literally dozens of ways to improve your Social Security outcome. But just know that there are a lot of resources out there that will help you with this, including this channel. Strategy number 6, explore part-time work. Now you're saying, Jeff, I'm retired. I don't want to work. Well, there's a difference between going to a job because you have to and going to a job because you get to. There are wonderful jobs out there that don't pay a lot of money, but certainly improve your bottom line in retirement. They're a lot of fun. In fact, I put a video out on this. Just know that if part-time work is something that you would consider, there are quite a few options that can help you improve your financial situation in retirement. Consider consulting in your former field for a few hours a week. Teaching or tutoring offers very flexible hours and at the same time provides very meaningful work for the teacher or the tutor. But be mindful of how additional income affects your Social Security benefits. There are earnings limitations. If you go beyond those, you'll have to give back a certain amount of your Social Security payment to the SSA. And frankly, working part-time isn't just about the money. It's also about the social aspect of being out with people, which is very important in retirement. Strategy number 7, reduce transportation costs. The average retiree household spends $9,000 per year on transportation. $9,000. If you have 2 vehicles, consider if you really need 2 vehicles. If one can do it for you, you reduce insurance costs, you reduce fuel consumption, and you reduce maintenance. In place of the second car, consider rideshare programs like Uber or public transportation. Some cities have wonderful public transportation if you're using it once in a while. But whether you have 1 car, 2 cars, or more, proper maintenance will help you keep the car in shape and reduce costly vehicle expenses later. Smart transportation choices can put thousands of dollars back into your pocket every single year. Strategy number 8, minimize your taxes, legally of course. Many retirees overpay on taxes because they just don't know the rules or they haven't arranged their life to minimize their taxes. But the good news is it's never too late. Some states tax Social Security benefits. Do you know if you're in one state that does? Because most don't. If you're considering downsizing, like we talked about earlier in the video, maybe you want to move to a state that doesn't tax Social Security. If you have no children in the house that are using the education system of the community, some of those same communities give you a property tax reduction. Time your retirement account withdrawals and the buckets that you draw your retirement income from to minimize your taxes. Consider Roth conversions during lower income years. Legal tax strategies aren't about avoiding taxes. They're about paying only what you're required to pay. Strategy number 9, cut the cord on cable. I did this and it saved me a lot of money. The average cable bill is about $1,200 a year. Frankly, mine was about 3 times that here in New York. But the point is, there are streaming services that can provide basically what you can get on cable, more or less, that cost a fraction of this. And as it relates to streaming services, make sure that you're actually using the streaming service. I know a lot of people that actually pay more than cable because they have 5, 6, 7 different streaming services and they only use 1 or 2 of them. Strategy number 10, travel smarter, not less, but smarter. Traveling during off-peak seasons can save up to 40% on the cost of travel. As a retiree, you have the flexibility to travel when prices are lower. If you have friends in other destinations, consider house swapping with them. They can use yours while you use theirs. If you belong to an organization where you do a lot of volunteer work, well, many of these organizations will offer free room and board while you're volunteering in other parts of the world. Use your travel rewards credit cards strategically for flights and hotels. And know that cruises and all-inclusive resorts offer a lot of value, especially during off-peak times. Also consider domestic travel within driving distance of your home. That will save you a lot of money. Just know that smart travel planning means that you can see the world without emptying the bank. And 2 bonus strategies because I think they're both very important. Number 1, reevaluate your insurance needs. As you get older, your insurance needs change. You may need less life insurance if your children are grown and financially independent. Consider increasing deductibles on your home and your car to lower your insurance cost payments. Bundle policies with one company for multi-policy discounts. And as I mentioned earlier, review your Medicare plans annually. The best plan from last year may not be the best plan for this year. Consider long-term health care insurance or alternatives if you haven't done so already. Ask for paperless and automatic payment discounts, of course. And many companies offer discounts for veterans or former government employees. The right insurance protects what matters without paying for things you don't need. And bonus strategy number 2, reduce your energy consumption. Energy costs can eat up a significant portion of your fixed income, and many energy service providers offer energy audits in your home. Simply changing to LED light bulbs and weather stripping can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Consider whether you're heating and cooling unused spaces in your home, especially if you have the big home that maybe is a little too big. Learn how to use your programmable thermostat, of course, and unplug electronics to eliminate phantom power usage. Lower energy consumption is both good for your wallet and good for the environment as well. If you like this video, check out that video, 10 really fun retirement side hustles. Also, if you want to talk to somebody about Medicare, give our partners a call at chapter 440-703-1224. This is Jeff Schmidt, and I will see you in that video right there.